Hi, John Shepard here from Shepard Health to demonstrate our application Fixer, a care process management, analytics, and data warehousing platform. Most of our focus is in healthcare, but this slide and other infographics and information we'll talk about applies to other industries as well. In this infographic, we're going through the data production lifecycle, where we start with data entry and data capture. This is usually done in an electronic health record, but other systems as well. You then need to extract that data, manipulate it, a lot of times integrate it, and clean it. This is usually requiring a number of different tools here and also a number of different coding languages, which takes a lot of time and effort. We then provide data access to individuals or other systems. So this would be providing users access to the data so that they can connect it to visualization, like creating tables or creating graphs or other dashboards. And then lastly, it goes through the analytics, data science, statistics, machine learning, etc. type phase. We're trying to utilize the data to maximize the value and put it into actual operation. Fixer is able to contribute and provide technology at all of these different life cycles and is able to reduce the number of tools that you currently have in your stack and provide greater functionality. Today for the demonstration, we're going to discuss creating data entry because a lot of times an electronic health record isn't going to be the source that you want to put your data entry in. This could be for a number of different reasons, like you don't want the data discoverable in your electronic health record. Maybe you're doing a study that's not prioritized and you're not going to be able to get it built into your electronic health record. Or that maybe you are trying to do some sort of A/B testing to figure out what is the best structure for your EHR so that you know what to do moving forward. We're then going to show you how you can do data integration, data warehousing using our Fixer no-code system, where you don't have to have any coding specialty to be able to do it. We'll then go into query development and show you our Fixer no-code system for that, creating a view and table using that integrated data in view, in query, and then developing reporting and sending that data out to different users. So let's get started. We're going to log into our Fixer system, and right here at the top, we're going to see all of our different modules in our main navigation bar. We always have a sub-navigation bar in these modules here, and then our workspace down below. We're going to start out with our data entry, where I've already created an initial page around study for diabetes. This is a study we're trying to do in addiction medicine, where we're trying to link addiction medicine patients and find out some of their key details around diabetes. When I come in here to edit the page, you'll see my main workspace here. You'll see my toolbar on the right that allows me to publish the page, send it to patients, or have other staff members have access to it. On my left, I have my toolkit here, where I can add tools and drag them over to my main workspace. And I have my configuration button, where I'm able to select the table that I want all of my data to be stored in. Now I'm seeing here, this was the last object I put in here, and I was able to do that by just coming and dragging over a drop-down menu here. I'm going to call this a required field. I want to say that this is going to be about a foot exam. Let's find out if patients have had a foot exam in the last year. So for my table, I want my column to be called foot exam, but I want to have some more detail for my users here, for my patients or for my providers, whoever's going to be entering this data. So I'm going to come in here and say, did the patient have a foot exam in the last 6 months? Now in my values, this is the data that's going to be stored in the database itself. I'm going to use zeros and ones, so I'm able to utilize this data for all my other reporting and dashboarding. But the options, I want to have some sort of descriptor here. Oh, yes. I'm going to save that. And I can either align it here, but I'm going to slide it right down here. Now, if you have the time, you can go through and change the fonts, change colors, change the configuration, all of that different fun stuff here. But if you're trying to get through it quick, you can just put everything in here. We'll click save and we'll be on our way. Now next, after I've created that, let's go and make sure that the table is there and present. So I'm going to come to my search function here and go into my module for searching. I'm going to choose my package. I could come here and select a search that I've already saved, or come here and type in one, but I'm just trying to do something quick here. So I'm going to start out by typing DE. DE stands for data entry inside Fixer. So any of the tables that we create in our data entry structure are going to start with DE and then end with whatever our name is. And we can see here's all of our data here. Here's all of the columns that have just been presented. I'm going to left click to select them all. You can see my new foot exam here. If I want to add some sort of where clause or order by or grouping, I can do that here. But right now I'm just going to submit it. When I click submit, you see what happens down here is Fixer, through its no-code query, builds out my SQL for me so that I don't have to do it myself. Now, if I want to, I can copy it using my traditional Control C, using my copy button, whatever I'd like. If I come here and execute, I'll see that I don't have any data in the system yet because I haven't entered anything in there. So really what I want to do next is I want to be able to go through and I want to be able to integrate this data with other data that I have in my system, because I have a roster of patients in here or a roster of patients on my desktop that I want to be able to link this study to. So let's do that. So we're going to go to our data warehousing location here. And in here, you'll see a number of different areas inside the data warehousing module. For load data and data transformation, our data transformation mostly deals with being able to do inbound and outbound HL7, CDA, and CCD files. We could do that, but we're going to do something a little bit more simple for our example here. And we'll go to our load data inside of our data warehouse module. And for this, we could do an ODBC connection, an API, but we just want to do a regular Excel file here. And so I'm going to run up here, and I've got a file that I've called SUD demographics. You can see some of the information we've spit out here, but I only have 3 patients in here, just as an example. You can then see I have my source name, my load name. I'm going to truncate it every time it comes in, which means I'm going to delete everything and just reload it every time it comes in. But I can drop this file whenever I want after to do this load, and it'll update every time I drop it. So I then can come in here and say, I want to include all of my different data in here. I want to have, a date of birth is going to be a date. My gender is going to be a varchar. Select all these things here. Now I've already done this previously, so I'm not going to waste your time here and run through it. But what you'll see is that as soon as you load it, we'll come back here to our search. We're going to choose our package of Fixer, because that's where we had stored it. And we're going to go down to our SUD demographics table. Look at that. Okay, so this was the table that we had just loaded in here. Now I'm going to select all the columns, and this time I'm going to say submit and execute. I want you just to run the query here. And so you can see I run the query, and here it is. Those are the 3 records I loaded. Now what I want to do though is I want to connect this to my data entry so that I can see all my patients and see their diabetic status when I come in here. So that's where a join comes in. Now Fixer allows you to be able to limit the amount of coding that you have to do. You don't have to be able to type any code here, but you do have to understand what a join is and basic table structures. And so what we want to make sure to do for all of our clinic staff is give them some basic understanding here of database structures, and then they're going to be able to use a lot of these tools and be able to move forward with their projects. So we're going to join this back on our data entry study diabetes file here. I'm going to choose my column, which is patient ID, it turns out. is going to equal my MRN. Now I'm going to confirm my join and boom, you can see everything's here. Here's my diabetes table. Here's my SUD demographics table. I'm going to link them all up. I don't really need to put a where statement in here, but I could if I wanted to, or sort them or whatever I want to do there. But really, I'm just going to submit. I'm going to execute. And now you can see here's my data from my SUD demographics that I loaded. And as soon as I start entering data around my patients for my data entry, this will all be populated here. So what I want to be able to do next is I want to be able to copy all this information, and then I'm going to be able to take it and I want to create a view because I want to be able to do a dashboard off of it. I want to be able to send this to R, Tableau, Stata, whatever your different visualization or statistical or machine learning software is. You're going to want it to be able to have access here. So I'm going to go back to my data warehousing module here, and I'm going to go to my table builder. And I'm going to select a new table, and I'm going to put in all my information here of what do I want to be able to call this thing here. And I think I've already created this, so let me just make sure. And you can see here it is right here. So I selected this table, I called it SUD diabetes. That's what I want the general name to be. And I put it in the table fixer.sud diabetes 2022. I'm then going to come down here. I'm going to paste my query. You can see it was already in there. But I'm going to get it set up, and then I can execute it just to make sure there's no bugs, no errors, looks good. And then I'm going to be able to save it. Now what we'll see when we come back to our search here is that if we come to Fixer, what would we call that? SUD Diabetes 2022. Here's our view created for us. So now we're all set and we're ready to go to be able to connect this and go to our next step here, which would be, like I said, doing statistics, doing machine learning, doing any type of analysis that you want to do, put this into Tableau, Qlik, Power BI, any of your different visualization software. But for our purposes, we want to close the loop here and say, all right, from a typical analytics perspective, we're going to have some data entry created. We're going to connect it to another data source. We're then going to build a view off of that that we can report off of. And then we actually want to deliver those reports. And that's where we're going to end with our demonstration here with Fixer, is to be able to come in here and create a new report here. So I've created this one here that I called SUD Diabetes, but same exact process that we'd go through is we create a new report. We could call it SUD Diabetes 2. I want this to be a private report. I don't want other people to have access to it unless I add them specifically, versus a public means that anybody can go in and add themselves to these reports. I'm going to paste my query here. I can execute it to see if I want, if everything's working. I can add some different filters, but really my goal is just to have it set here. Let me go back to my current report so you can see all that information already there. I'm going to send an email with this report, and so it's going to be called SUD Diabetes, or SUD Diabetes cohort is going to be in the message, but you can customize this to be whatever you want. And for my report, I'm going to send an email attachment. I want this to show up in an Excel spreadsheet. I'm then going to edit who this goes to. Edit when it goes out. I want it to go, say, every weekday at 8 a.m. Or sorry, 8 a.m. I can save all that. And then my report's scheduled and I'm good to go. Now, if you wanted to then put that information into the dashboard, Fixer has built-in dashboard capabilities here where you're able to import different metrics. You're able to select a date, select if you want to see it by time, by staff member, department, or program. These are all pre-built in. So it does offer some flexibility, but it's not going to replace your Tableaus and Qlik views if that's the tool that you prefer. You can just plug it into the views as we just talked about, and then go through and develop your different tools. You can then add filters if you want to, and then you can also come over to your dashboard report and email anything that you have out. So we're just going to come here, click on our graph real quick, and we'll see we've got data coming in, but our data hasn't been loaded for June, so we're not going to see our results there. Now that's going to end this demonstration of Fixer, but what you've seen here is our ability to go start to finish in a number of different areas and then empower the clinical analyst, the provider, or anybody who wants to go through and develop different types of functionality. We've gone through and created our own data entry. We've then integrated that data with a file that we had, and we're able to load that right into the system. We're able then to write a query to combine those together. We created a view off of that and a table that all these different systems can connect to. And then we were able to email that report to ourselves and other people and schedule that to happen every weekday, Monday to Friday at 8 a.m. Now we were able to do that with no support from other IT personnel and without having any type of advanced coding knowledge. So you can see utilizing Fixer is going to reduce the burden on your IT staff, empower your clinical and ancillary staff to be able to do advanced analytics and do better quality improvement and faster quality improvement, and to sustain results over time. Thank you for viewing our video and check out our others. Take care.